On the next few slides, you will see the following question. So this was a question about how the slaves were different. So it says, in what ways was the enslaved community diverse? So how are they different? And I give you comments down here, and it says there are 2 paragraphs, which will be on the next 2 slides, that speak about how slaves differed from one another. It talks about their background, like some of them, where they were born, whether they were born in Africa or on the island, and they also had different types of jobs. Some of them had the elite jobs, which meant they had more privileges. So you are going to look through the next 2 slides, and then we'll answer the question on the next slide, and it asks for a quote. This is something you're going to be doing a lot of next year when you're in 9th grade. So just to give you an example, so for this one it's saying how were they diverse, and you can say one way the slaves were diverse or were different from one another is some of them were born in Africa while others were born on the island. And then another one is the jobs they had. And then you can do a quote here, start the quote here, and do some enslaved people were considered elite. These were the slaves given positions of authority. You can even end it right there, and that could be your quote. So that's what you'll put in this question. And then for this one, it's asking about the Black Code and what problems it caused for the enslaved population. So on the next 2 slides, it answers that question. So to get it around to the slaved, so you want to be clear how you answer it, and you want to make sure there's a quote. So over here, one of the things that they forbid was for them to assemble. So sometimes the slaves would have like marriage ceremonies, and they would all come together, and they said, nope, no more of those. Even if you had a wedding planned, too bad, no more assembling. So that was one restriction. And you can add a quote at any point for this. You could also say, if they tried to run away, they were in trouble too, and then start the quote right here and say, fugitive slaves who were caught could have their ears cut off, and end it right there. That's all you need to do, because you're talking about how this Black Code limited or changed how they could do things. So they couldn't assemble, and if they tried to run away, they could have their ears cut off. And then you'll answer that with the quote there. And then for this one, why did the slaves dance and practice voodoo? And that says, you do not need to provide a quote. So right here it says, for many reasons, resistance to slavery also meant finding ways to reaffirm their human dignity. So they wanted to have a way to feel respected and to be reminded that they were human. So that's why they would practice voodoo, because it was a way of, something they could do that was just theirs, and they did it behind the backs of the planters. And then for this one, why did slaves dance and practice voodoo even though it was forbidden? That's where you're going to put the answer. This one, the rebellion. When the fighting started, what did the slaves do to fight against the colonists? You said they kill all of them. They didn't actually kill all of them. You need to look at the text. So on the next page right here, it talks all about how they fought. That's what I'm looking for. Like, what did they actually do? Did they poison them all? Which they didn't. It's not here. But read through this, paying attention to this section right here, and some of the weapons they used. And then you'll put the answer there, and you do not need a quote. And then this one is asking, how did the white colonists respond to all of this? They were getting so scared because they didn't know if their slaves were about to rebel against them and they would be killed. So how did they handle it? They did kill some of the slaves, but they didn't kill all of them. And you can see here, they increased their repression, which means they just got meaner, and they were on their case and were very controlling of them. And that's where you'll write your answer, and again, you don't need a quote. And then you're just going to do the journal entries for a character profile. If you can't find your character profile, you can use one of these. And you're just gonna, the first one, you're gonna talk as if you're the person. You know, my daily life is very hard. I work from the morning until night, and I'm out in the fields. And then if it mentions that you have family, you put that. And then the last journal entry, there's the video before this will explain what you need to do for that. So good luck, get that done. Your grade's gonna skyrocket.